Hey everyone, it's Gabriel Online here, and welcome to the Sims 4 News and Discussion. This video I'm making is something I put a lot of research into in order to educate myself on the history of The Sims 4 and how it was created. So, it's also going to be basically a conspiracy theory, as you can probably tell by the title, or not really, of what we're going to be talking about. But I want to get right into it. First, in order to explain this theory, that's what we're just going to call it, a theory, I need to tell you about a game called The Sims Olympus. So, The Sims Olympus was supposed to be the successor to The Sims 3, with its biggest role having online features like multiplayer functionality, similar to The Sims Online. You can even find many concept arts and early gameplay products of The Sims 4 Olympus. And if you want to see any of it, I have linked down below the Sims Wiki as well as other pages and YouTube videos that show The Sims 4 Olympus. Anyway, getting back to it, the game, during production, was eventually scrapped as the Sims Wiki stated their opinion, or I don't know if it's an actual fact or not, that it could have been because of the critical reception The Sims City 2013 was receiving at its time, as it also had a similar online multiplayer functionality that ended up being a huge flop. Which is why Olympus was cancelled and The Sims 4 took its place instead. Now, it's pretty obvious that many features from The Sims 4 were taken from The Sims Olympus, as the UI is very similar. Many Create a Sim objects and build mode items are literally taken from the game, and even Willow Creek and Oasis Spring seem to be modeled after the worlds in there, as they're almost identical in design. Now, why they took features from Olympus instead of building from the ground up is pretty obvious, because they already put so many years probably into Olympus, and when the game got scrapped, they weren't just gonna rebuild the game, because that would take another long time, and The Sims 3's appeal was already starting to fade. I mean, they had like what, 9? I forget how many expansions they had. There was a lot of expansions in The Sims 3, probably the most to date. And if they would have to probably work another 3 more years to get back to where they left off in The Sims Olympus to build The Sims 4, meaning they would have to somehow make so much content for The Sims 3, which would end up being too much for the game anyway, and for people's computers, as that game was already graphically powerful and took up a lot of resources. And basically, it would just been easier to rebuild from the ground up, and if they probably didn't, we, again, probably wouldn't have had The Sims 4 in 2014. It probably would have came around now, maybe, or more details of it would have been announced right now if they decide to rebuild from the ground up, which could have been for the best, maybe, but be glad of what we have, I think. The game is fine. There's nothing wrong with it, so rebuilding didn't seem like a bad idea, and it was just a way to save time and money, too. Looking back into the worlds that were in The Sims Olympus, it seemed like there was Oasis Springs and Willow Creek were in there. They might have been called something different or whatever their prototype build was, and they may have looked different too. But there was also an additional world that was in The Sims Olympus and even had gameplay and screenshots of it. And to my surprise, the world looks very similar to Windenburg, which is what we're going to talk about in this video. And also how assets, I think, from Get Together seem to have came directly from Olympus. So, let's get started. So first off here is a promotional video, or not promotional, more like an early product of The Sims 4 Olympus. And the video right here shows Create a Sim and how Sims can be created and how they are placed on lots in worlds. And as you can see, I'm fast forwarding it. The process is very similar to The Sims 4, only difference are basically the UI and the world map view is pretty different. And as you can see, this world right here, a lot of the lots that are pre-made are either Tudor or modern, and there are even, the world view has like a design of ancient ruins that were probably going to function as set dressing like the dinosaur in Oasis Spring. And also, I would like to point out how these world maps are colored. We didn't get colored maps at the beginning of The Sims 4. We didn't get that until an update, I think soon before Get Together came out. Which bothers me, because I'm like, it was possible for them to have colored maps of Willow Creek and Oasis Springs at the beginning of The Sims 4's lifespan. Anyway, though, back to the world, the European world, we're going to call it for now, as I'll get into more details later about it. Again, it's style. The house's styles, Tudor, and architecture are basically what Windenburg is. Houses are either modern architect or Tudored theme. And again, Windenburg also has its own ruins, except the differences are Windenburg ruins are actually explorable and have lots in them. Unlike these ruins, which I'm only guessing are set dressing, because it doesn't look like they're clickable and you could travel to them. Although, they could indicate secret lots, because those were probably a thing in The Sims Olympus, as they were in the base game. Then, when I was reading The Sims Wiki, this prototype European world actually had a name, and the name was Windenburg. Not Windenburg, Windenburg. There's an O in between the B and the U. And here's also another screenshot of live mode, where in the background, or in the picture, you can see a house with that has some kind of Sims 4 base game object with it, and in the background of it is a European town. Now, there's nothing in Windenburg that looks like it, so I'm guessing, though this is based off of the countryside, and that's the set dressing, so this world could have been like a rough prototype of the countryside of Windenburg, as right here in the top left-hand corner of the map. So that's something I want to point out. And then there's an additional screenshot that showed an empty lot that you could probably build in Windenburg. And when I saw this lot, it looked familiar to me, and it was, because I immediately recognized it, because it's one of my favorite lots to build on in the game, in The Sims 4 Get Together. Because in Windenburg, there is a lot like it that's right off the side of the river, as both shown. I'm showing it right here, side by side. The only difference is the scenery and the terrain around them. My next main point is even some of Get Together's objects were probably supposed to be in Olympus. As I was looking on the web, looking at concept art, because, there's, as I've said, there are tons of concept arts of Sims 4 Olympus, and technically the Sims 4 2, because I'm pretty sure they use some of the concept from it. But I found a concept art of a DJ booth from the Sims Olympus. Now, looking at this booth, it looks nothing like the ones we have in Get Together, but it tells me that the DJ booth was possibly going to be in the base game of Olympus. That, and we can also assume, too, that since there were Tudor houses in that world map view, guessing if that's not, heavily video edited, and that's actually a video of the product game itself, we could basically assume that Tudor wallpaper aesthetics and windows like that, and all those build items were gonna also be in the base game of Olympus. And now, finally, this is just, my own theory of Get Together. There's really no evidence of it, but from how Get Together and Olympus, their ideas are, they're very similar. Here's what I mean. Get Together is about your Sims going out with other Sims and getting together and doing things like go to parties or do some kind of activity, like working out or going to the library or something. While Olympus' idea seems to be about you as a character under your Sims persona getting together, as I've said, in Get Together, with other players who are under their own Sim personas and doing activities in the world of Sims, like going to a library or a gym or partying. Again, ideas sound very similar when you say them out loud. The only difference is The Sims Olympus has multiplayer functionality, while The Sims 4 Get Together and The Sims 4 don't have that. All of this information and theories make me believe that these concepts were brought back from Olympus as the team wanted to create a unique expansion pack for The Sims 4. And since they already had this concept of a European world and its styles, it probably wasn't hard to recreate Windenburg and make it even better than Windenburg. That sounds so funny to say, Windenburg, Windenburg. Try to say that 5 times fast. Anyway, Windenburg's scenery looks, to me, a lot better than Windenburg's, especially that they added a waterfront, as Windenburg seems to be like in the middle of the countryside, nowhere near the sea. And they also added a modernized European neighborhood where, again, Windenburg didn't have that. It was more ancient and classical Tudor scenery and set dressing. Also, Windenburg has that's not weird, has a variety of terrains. And what I mean by that is lots are at different elevations, where compared to Newcrest and Willow Creek and Oasis Springs, I believe all the lots are basically on the same elevation. So I'm glad that they made Windenburg have changes in elevation with lots, and it just makes the world a lot better. And you can obviously see that with these two images right here of these lots. The one of Windenburg is very flat and only has pictures of the houses, while the one on the right has, next to the house next to it, the lot there is elevated, and you could also see the aqueduct and all of that, and it makes the world look a lot better. I'm trying to think of a lot. I was gonna say nice, but I keep feeling like I say that a lot. Also, with multiplayer functionality not being in The Sims 4 as it was scrapped from Olympus, I think that gave the team the idea of adding the club systems so that when you're going to get together with other Sims that aren't in your household, it's a way for you to basically manipulate them and get them to do what you do instead of them autonomously doing what they want. They also brought back the DJ booth and added dancing with it, because I think those two technically coincide. And it also makes me wonder if dancing was also going to be with the base game of Olympus, but I couldn't find any information on that. But it could be a very strong evidence with the DJ booth. So really, with all this information that I've just been blabbing my mouth about, it kind of makes it sound like Get Together was a pack that EA just randomly threw out there to add features that they wanted to recycle from Olympus, because who wouldn't want those features to go to waste and not use them, or it would be stupid to recreate them from scratch. Like, why recreate something if you already have it? It also makes me wonder, though, why they didn't make this the first expansion pack and went with Get to Work. I wonder, because, again, it seems like they already had these assets, so why bother creating a completely new, like, neighborhood? Because Magnolia Problem isn't really a world, it's really small. And making active careers, that seems like a completely different system than what they already had. But anyway, does this new information change my opinion on The Sims 4 Get Together? No, it really doesn't, because I'm glad they took the prototype of Windenburg and rebuilt it into something even better, and I think Windenburg is still the best world created to date. Even with San Myshuno out, I enjoy Windenburg way more than San Myshuno. My only gripes and wishes I wish the Sim team did was that they ended up taking the DJ booth and the color map views that were going to be in Olympus and put them into the base game of The Sims 4. Just so that the base game had more content. Although, maybe the reason they didn't add DJ booths could be because I could only find concept art of the DJ booth, not an actual gameplay of it or a model of an in-game DJ booth for Olympus. So it could have just been drawn up for art and not be in the game yet. So when they scrapped Olympus, they didn't actually have a model for it at all. So when they had Get Together, they're like, oh, look at these concepts of this DJ booth. Why don't we put this in the game, as this would be a fun object for Sims to use when they get together at nightclubs and party. Anyway, what's been done is done. DJ booths aren't in the base game. It's almost been 3 years since The Sims 4. And final thing I want to say, or one of the last final things I want to say, is I really enjoyed making this video, as it gave me information on what potential The Sims Olympus had and what The Sims 4 could have ended up being like if they didn't scrap the project. And I'm glad that they did scrap Olympus, as I feel like The Sims 4 doesn't need multiplayer functionality, as me and I believe a bunch of other Sims play the game to escape reality and to do fun things that we can't do in real life, or that's not possible. Also, I also didn't really like the UI of Olympus. It looked very ugly, and the aesthetic of The Sims were very choppy and just not smooth and polished like they are now. But then again, it was a pre-game product, and the final product of The Sims 4 Olympus, if they had gone through with it, could have looked completely different today, or very similar to how The Sims 4 is. But anyway, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did. I had a lot of fun writing it and finding the information. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe for more upcoming Sims news, discussions, theories, or Let's Plays. And comment down below what you think of Get Together and Sims Olympus and how they're similar or different, or completely go against my whole theory. But anyway, this is Gabriel R. Online, and I hope to see you guys soon. So, bye everyone!